From the Daily Reporter, this is Ethan Duran. Welcome to Brews and Blueprints, a podcast about construction and development across Wisconsin. Hello, I'm Ethan Duran of the Daily Reporter, and this is the Brews and Blueprints podcast. I'm with Ben Bruns, the Vice President of Modular at Bildt. In January, Appleton-based Boldt launched Bildt, a company focused on modular buildings and prefabricated components. We're going to learn a little more about modular construction and what changes it will bring to the industry. Thank you for being on the show, Ben.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for tolerating my backdrop. I'm at a hotel in Glendale, Arizona, which is a very pleasant place to be. But we are at a conference for advancing prefabrication. So good to join you this morning.
Thanks for being on. And it sounds like you might have your elevator pitch for Bildt itself on hand. So I wanted to hear from you first. This is such a new development, and I think it'd be good to talk about what Bildt is and what exactly you do.
Yeah. So fabricated construction, and in particular focused on healthcare, but we also have the ability to work in other markets as well. In healthcare, in large part because that's a big part of Boldt's portfolio. About a third of Boldt's work is healthcare, a third is power and manufacturing, and then another third is kind of everything else. So born from the Boldt company, but we started this new business the first of the year, and we're really excited about it. It is focused on delivering high quality, very quick deployments of ideally serial construction, right? Where a customer has a number of things that they need done, a larger program, and we're able to build those in a factory and send them out to places all over the country. We worked from Florida to Washington State, not much in the Northeast, but all the way down toward to here as well. Three primary product types serving two different customer bases. So first product type is construction components like exterior wall systems. We can work for, and so one customer type being a general contractor or a design firm. We can work to integrate the solutions and build the exterior wall panels, coordinate with all of the window openings, etc., provide a full turnkey skin. But it's about taking construction technology as a builder, translating it into a production of panels in the shop, integrating whatever wants to be integrated in the shop, bringing them out, and doing a very quick deployment on a project site. Next product is slide-in pods, from bathroom pods to exam rooms, overhead MEP racks. So really the entire guts of a clinic or an office building. We can fabricate that all in advance, coordinate it all, be the easy button for our general contractor partners. The last component that we do, and a little bit of a different customer base, is owner direct, where we're fabricating the entire building with the structure, roofing, exterior enclosure, etc., in truck-sized modules, and then shipping them wherever the project is, setting them, stitching them together, and turning over a really high-quality product in a very short amount of time. Our projects are, if we're doing slide-in pods, it's about a 20% savings over traditional construction for the program, and 20% schedule savings. If we're doing the volumetric modular, it's a pretty similar cost to conventional construction, especially in the more sophisticated product types like inpatient beds or surgery centers, those kinds of things. A little bit harder for us to compete in the clinic world, where it's low cost because we're densifying something and putting it on a truck. But if speed is what somebody has in mind, it's twice as fast as conventional construction.
You mentioned working with general contractors and design firms to pull this off. Are you more of a specialized company or a vendor company? How would you describe yourself in the sort of the link in the chain of different partners that need to pull off a construction project?
Yeah, we are a manufacturer, so we are an enabler of construction solutions. So we can pre-assemble many things, and when we're able to do that, it allows project teams to focus on what they do every day, and which is all the rest of whatever it is. So if you imagine you're a general contractor, your staff are really what make your are your lifeblood, right? Because it's a service business, and you want your staff to be able to do more faster, to be able to get on to the next thing, because the throughput really matters. And so we enable that throughput at a different level than conventional construction. We're building the inside of the building while they're building the outside of the building, slide it in, and move forward. On the owner side, imagine you run you run a hospital, and you've got a large capital project coming, and you know that it's going to be years of construction noise and traffic and logistics and all these things that just you know you know how to deal with, and it's okay, but it's not great for your patients, it's not great for your clinicians. Where Bildt comes in is we dramatically compress the amount of time on site. The longest lead time of anything that we have in what we do is getting authority, having jurisdiction approval, which is the same as any other project, right? It's really way more about how quickly can we get this design through that approval channel, and almost immediately thereafter, the building is done, and just within a matter of weeks, it's set up on the job site and completed. And the amount of chaos and disruption that associates with that is virtually nothing, because we're not hammer drilling anything on the job site. We're fabricating all of that in our shop. When it comes and we set it down, that stitching process of putting it together is not invasive at all to a customer's existing operation. It's pretty fun.
Speaking about stitching, so how do you make a process like that seamless with different construction crews? And you also mentioned when we were recording before, there's a couple of manufacturing centers in Oshkosh and another in the Chicagoland area. How far has Bildt's reach as a manufacturer? I know you mentioned projects in Florida. Do you truck it all the way out there, or do you
Right.
work in local areas?
We do. So, we recently completed, actually, I mean, it's 3 years ago now. We did a project in Grafton, inpatient bed project for Advocate Aurora. It's a great project. That project, the existing facility was brick. And so, we shipped the modules to the project site unclad and cladded with brick in the field, which is not uncommon, right? It still has to look cool. It still has to function. Just because it's modular, the magic is in having it look and feel the exact same. So we had a customer tour that facility the other day, and they were curious about, well, are there double walls everywhere? How does this feel on the inside? Does it feel like clunky um, and there's not a lot of that because of how we mate the modules together. You're right. Our primary fabrication is in Oshkosh. We do have a secondary location in the Chicagoland area, and we've worked pretty much nationwide already as part of the Boldt company. in the last 5 years. But this whole thing was born out of a couple of different projects. The first was a project that my colleague and partner Melanie Taylor was leading in the Chicagoland area. We were working on this clinic program for Advocate Aurora, and the idea was volumetric modular. So 3D modular components put on a truck and fabricated in a shop, sent to the job site, landed, put together. And it just so happened that the day we were road testing the first module was March 13th of 2020. I had just started it, and it had been fabricated up in our Appleton shop. And I had just started at Boldt in October of 2019. My family and I moved to the area from the Des Moines area. And I'm out walking around, and I knew the shutdown was coming. It's pretty sobering to imagine. At that time, my team was about 500, and I knew the questions were coming. What are we going to do? How is this? How are we going to make a living? Like, what's going to happen? And I saw this module out in the shop, and we were getting ready to road test it, and the idea struck me. We could do something with this. We could control our own fate. We could help a lot of people, because it was already obvious at that point that clinicians did not have what they needed to be able to fight COVID. And I went in and talked to Dave Kiewit and Stacy Robin. Dave's our president, now CEO. Stacy's our CMO, and said, hey, could we do something with this? And they felt good about it. We built a team, including HGA out of Milwaukee as our design partner, and then Faith Technologies and Tweet Garrett. And on Monday, we had the first kickoff meeting. So that was the 16th of March. And we decided what it was we were going to do, which was an inpatient ICU hospital. We ended up calling it StatMod. The Wednesday that week, so we started a daily stand-up call developing this project. There were 10 people on the call that Monday. There were 86 people on the call on Wednesday. And I've never been on a working Teams or Zoom call with 80 people that all have a role in a project. But that's what we did. And by the end of the first week, we knew what we were going to build, who it was for. We had a design concept, and we knew it was going to cost. We knew how fast we could build it. We put together a kit of information to be able to go take to the marketplace and sell. And May 15th of 2020, 2 months later, we opened the first hospital in Fort Washington, Maryland, just outside of DC. And it's still in service today. You walk inside it, and it's a hospital. Outside of it, there were some concessions, right? We had rooftop units that sat on skids outside and were connected via umbilicals to the exterior. But it's a hospital. And a week later, we opened the second one of those at UMMC in Maryland. 3 weeks after that, we installed a 16-bed hospital on top of a parking garage in downtown Baltimore. That was just recently taken apart and flown down. But the pandemic really was the impetus for us to get really good at volumetric modular really fast. And I'm just blessed to be in a place that has the building capability, the skill that Boldt does in order to do that, because this is a very uncommon capability. And now it's mature, right? It's become something that it has much broader market appeal and application. And the sky's the limit from our perspective.
It sounds like you've had the idea on a back burner for a little while now before finally launching it this year. That explains where the company kind of comes from. But what's your outlook on modular construction looking going forward? Do you think prefabrication is going to be the new way of construction, at least in its most popular market, medical?
Yeah, it is um, projected to grow at 8.6 CAGR, so annual growth of 8.6% across the industry. Um, if you look at the real challenges that construction faces today, there's about a 500,000 worker shortage right now in the industry, and that doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. We have tremendous craftspeople that are retiring out of the marketplace constantly, and they're not being backfilled fast enough. It's intimidating to walk onto a project site as a first day apprentice. Heck, it's intimidating to walk onto a project site as a vice president in charge of an operating group. Every project that you do has its own nuances, where you park, how you get to the job trailer, uh, what the job specific requirements are associated with safety and getting onto project sites. So it's um it's a tremendous industry, but it's got a barrier to entry for our craftspeople. And when you come to our factory, you know what your work hours are going to be. You know where you're going to work. You know you're going to have clean bathrooms. You know who you're working with. You know how they'll conduct themselves. It's just and you know you're going to be trained to learn a job that no one expects you to have all the answers or to know how to do something on day one. We're going to show you how to do it at its most basic level, and you're going to be productive on day one. And then day two, you're going to learn something new, and day three, and so on and so forth, right? And so you can progress through your career to learn the trade in a place that is much more consistent. There's a roof over your head every day. There's some wonderful days to be a craftsperson in the trades. Some wonderful days, and there are some days like today where you wish that, like, why did I get into this? Right. And there's a whole bunch of folks who are out there slugging it out in conventional construction today. And we respect and salute you. But, we think there's a better way, that we think there's a safer way. The market is beginning to understand that too. Owners are understanding that they have to, they're, if they want something done, they have to think about it a little bit differently. And, the predictability associated with what we do is worlds ahead of what you see traditionally. Construction, the big joke is about the price of construction and change orders and all of those things. We're building a product. You know what the product costs up front, and then it doesn't change unless you change something, right? That's all on us. And so it's such a different experience. I liken it, like, traditional construction. A lot of times, for those watching, you know, when you go shopping and you buy a tube of toothpaste, you know that you're going to see a whole bunch of different types of toothpaste in that toothpaste aisle. You know that they all have complex ingredients in them. You know you've tried some, and you have a favorite or two, and maybe something will catch your eye, and it's different. But you know what to expect, that the range of pricing is all going to be pretty similar, and all of that. When people buy a general contractor's services, they want to know every ingredient that's in the tube of toothpaste and how much margin went on the toothpaste assembly, and then they compare that all based on numbers that are like one to 5%. It's a broken industry in terms of how it's purchased, and so because it's not transparent, and everybody feels like there's some other hidden thing. The reality is, uh, you want the tube of toothpaste. We want to give you a tube of toothpaste that you like, that you really enjoy, and if you want a different one next time, it's okay. Like that. But you know what you to expect. You know what it's going to cost, and you know that nobody's going to ask you for more money for your toothpaste after you've already bought it.
So an interesting comparison there. Um, Ben, can I ask about you? What was your professional experience like before you got to where you are today at Bildt?
Yeah, so I'm a construction engineer by training. Iowa State University in Ames. Played college football there as well, but spent 19 years at the White's Company in Des Moines, Iowa. Working on projects of all shapes and sizes. I was in operations for 12 years, so from an engineering role up to a senior PM role, project executive, and then transitioned to business development for 7 years, working nationally for the company at one point in time. Helped launch the mission critical sector at White's and the student housing sector, which have nothing in common except that I'd worked in both of those areas and came to Boldt to lead the home office location operations as executive vice president and general manager of Northern Operations in 2019. So GM responsible for P&L and did that for 5 years and really got excited about this opportunity to go all in on Bildt. Obviously, I'd been involved in projects starting around the time of the pandemic, but really had gone back to my day job in our regional office after in 2021. So fun to be in the new company and working with Melanie and our team.
What was your position in college football?
Yeah, I was a center. I played a little bit of guard back in the day. That was 50 pounds ago. I used to be able to say 60, but the holidays weren't that kind. So, no, it's nice to, I've got one knee that I've had 5 surgeries on one knee and it's not so good. And, but man, um, just the experience and the camaraderie, of being part of a team that, did something pretty special. My senior year, we won the first bowl game in school history. Um, and we're the winningest team in school history until the great season that Iowa State had last year. So um, it's fun to be part of something pretty cool, and it's good times to be a Cyclone too. The basketball team's having a little bit of fun right now as well.
Well, thanks for sharing. I We should probably take this back to construction.
All right.
Um, how is business going for Built right now? Are you part of any new exciting contracts that you're able to talk about? Any new projects on the pipeline?
Yeah, so we have a first of our kind series of projects in the bathroom pod arena. So 500 or so. It seems to be the orders growing some, which is great. Bathroom pods for a large healthcare organization in the southeast. So really great. You walk into our shop right now, and you see pods in all manner of the production cycle. And if you and I were standing there together right now, I can show you a QR code on my phone, and you could open up your smartphone, look at that QR code, and it's going to take you into an augmented reality environment on your phone, where as you look up and around, you're in the bathroom pod, and it's a virtual environment, uh, completely like the color of the flush valve on the handle of the toilet is exactly what it is. So it's green because it's a high efficiency two-way valve, um, and every last detail of that is the same as the detail of what's being built in our factory. And the quality associated with factory construction is just, it's fantastic. So we delivered our first set of pods to the job site last week, and they're going to get set here in a couple of days. So pretty exciting time in that world, from buildings to parts and pieces.
About the factory side, I know you mentioned, for the workers there, it's predictable compared to traditional job sites, and there's a quality that goes with building a building inside of a factory as well. But how about qualifications? What's the training like for people who work in these manufacturing centers, whether it's in Oshkosh or another location, and what's the day to day like for them?
Yeah. So we have an agreement with the Carpenters Union. We have carpenter assemblers in our shop, and one of the neat stories about all of this is, there's not a high barrier to entry in that. So it's an apprenticeship level qualification. One of our team members and several of our team members have, are refugees who have come, to the area and resettled here. And we've been able to give them great opportunities because so many of those folks, and in the case of one gentleman, he was an electrician in Afghanistan, and he helped the U.S. government in Afghanistan in a significant way to the point where he couldn't stay. He had to come here with us and bring his family because there would have been retribution for his contributions to our efforts there. Um, so, he gets here and is trying to find work, and it's not easy because he's not, been through our licensure process, and was working as an athletic trainer, um, and heard about us through an outreach program that Allie Knotts, our workforce leader, had set up, and has come to work on our team and in our factory. He can work on installing our electrical. We can't terminate things. There's certain things you can't do, right? If you don't have the trade specific training. But Mal can install the vast majority of what we do in kits of parts. And in our bathroom groups, we have every last piece of that electrical assembly prefabricated by a vendor partner, and then we install it ourselves. Final terminations are made on the job site by a trained, qualified electrician, and everything's checked out. And it's a blessing to be able to provide great opportunities in a career arc for somebody who knows how to do it, just doesn't have the certifications. And now that he's here and part of our team, he can regrow that experience base and become qualified in the U.S. So um, it's a low barrier to entry situation for our prospective employees, and high hands-on, very specific station-based training. So we start by taking a coil of steel, rolling it into metal stud. We have a machine that cuts it to length, and it actually pushes it out to length, extrudes it to length, and puts all of the fasteners, punches holes for all the fasteners, dimples everything so that the head of the fastener as it goes in is flush with the rest of the assembly, so that there's no waste like there is on a job site where you're cutting off studs to length. There's better quality because that drywall sheet goes on and everything is flush and true. And it's much, much, much easier to assemble because it's coming out with a piece mark on it. It sets up on a square table that we can easily and simply run a screw in. It's so obvious about how this thing needs to be assembled, and it creates an opportunity for everybody in that factory to win.
What's the longest standing modular project, either under Bolt or under Build?
Our product base, inpatient beds are our most mature product type, uh, and we have installations that date back to 2020.
This is sort of, I guess, a man on the street question, but I wanted to ask, how do you ensure, I guess, the safety and longevity of a modular building? I imagine when some people, I've seen projects before where, like the Trout Museum of Art, building an entire floor of apartments and lifting that onto a building. That's very impressive. But I wonder, how do you ensure it has like the same quality and has the same lifespan of a built another building built by traditional means?
Yeah, great question. And we get this one all the time. And there is there's an inherent, because everybody's been in a mobile home, everybody's been in, there's just this sort of like inherent bias that we all carry about modular and the quality factor. And the reality is what we build is higher quality. And we have great crafts people in our across the state of Wisconsin, and work with great craftspeople across the U.S. Um, I think Northeast Wisconsin has the highest quality construction capability of any place I've been. And I'm sure like the entire state is great at building. But I came from a high quality operation in Iowa, and what we do in Wisconsin is better. And so I compare that field built quality to what we do in our factory, and uh, it's the same materials, the same products. The difference is that there are mate lines and things you have to work out in a digital world prior to finishing it. You know, in our industry, Ethan, there's a lot of conversation going on about a digital twin, right? You want to have a digital version of your building that you can go back to as a maintenance person and be able to see where everything is and why and all that. Um, our buildings are exact copies of the digital version because we're building directly from the model. And so, what that means is everything is where you said it was going to be. Everything is exactly how it was coordinated to be. It's highly coordinated on the front end because it has to be. It has to be. It has to be more efficient. It has to be more effective. It's easier to maintain because in a lot of cases we're eliminating some of the waste that associates with the overall building height and the ceiling height. We're compressing that volume up above in order to make it fit on a truck by great coordination. But then we also have to make sure that it's super maintainable. So when a maintenance person takes that ceiling pad out, they're able to get to whatever piece of equipment they need to work on, but it's also right there. It's not like they have to try and get all the way through the ceiling up into this wasted space cavity up above them, which is so common in conventional construction. That because people, you know, customers, construction is a 50% efficient business. For every dollar an owner pays, they get 50 cents in value. And part of that value is lost in the carelessness associated with just doing it how we've always done it, right? Here's this big volume of space, and your building looks impressive on the outside potentially because you've got this higher wall, but on the inside you've got a ceiling that is at maybe it's maybe it's 8, maybe it's 9, maybe it's 10 feet, right? Whatever that is, it's lower than it has to be if it was really well coordinated. And so the point of what we do is coordinate those things in a way where we eliminate all that waste. You don't pay for the extra building on the outside. And when you need to access it from the inside, you can get to whatever it is you need to get to, uh, and not have to try and figure out how to get your ladder up so that you have to, work your way up through that ceiling tile or try and take something down in the ceiling. So our customers have found that they're very user friendly post occupancy, and the wear and tear, the way they hold up. I was just in the facility in Grafton that we built 3 years ago. It's got hard use. It's an inpatient operation, and it looked like it was done 3 weeks ago. And so we're really proud of the fact that these things are built to last.
I'm excited to see how it all fares out. If the industry adopts it overall, and how those buildings fare over the years. So those are two things I'm definitely curious about. Um, Ben, it's been a great conversation. If people want to reach out to Bildt and learn more, how should they get connected?
Yeah, so www.bildt.com, Bildt, is the best way, or look any of us up on LinkedIn, and we'd love to connect and talk because it's a dynamic environment. We are able to do projects, with a typical bed inpatient bed project is a year and a half to 2 years from design conception to construction completion and activation. We do that in 6, 7, 8 months, depending on the program and the authority having jurisdiction. So it just and it creates huge differences for systems. One of our customers had an ED expansion, emergency department expansion. We added inpatient beds for them at M Health up in the Twin Cities, and their ER duration, their ER stay time, went down 54%. Like, whoa! But operational efficiency for any of our customers is such a huge thing, and many times, you don't make a decision about something that you need to change because it just feels like there's a high barrier to entry to get a project done. And this was a case where there's a lot going on at the site. It's not easy. The logistics are tough, and it was much easier and better for us to be there for a very short period of time to hoist modules into place, and stitch them up neatly. And it really changed their entire care delivery. So we'd love to see what we can do for those that are watching this.
That's great to hear. Well, that's all I had, Ben. I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ethan. Appreciate it.